Hello and welcome, my name is Martin, they call me Tino, and today we're going to be talking about fighters and interceptors. So in the year 36 and 37 I only build frames, heavy frames like this one. You can put the cheapest engine and the cheapest single light machine gun, and you must build this model. It costs you just 33, and in 38, when you have the heavy machine guns, you update this model. If you are going to update this fighter in 38 for an early war, you can just add 4 heavy machine guns, 4 slots, and you build the plane with the 3 engines, the best version of the 3 engines that you have, that is this one, and self-sealing fuel tanks, radio if you have for radio navigation. And this is the best fighter you can have in 38. It's even better an interceptor. I don't use the 36 chassis because it's very bad. It only has 2 slots for heavy machine guns, but if you can wait until 1940, you can use the same chassis to build a much better interceptor. So if you can hold the 36 chassis until 1940, you build in 3 years 36, 37, 38, and about 39 maybe you can speed up the engine a little bit. And this is the 36 medium frame, but using the 1940 engine, and you have the same 4 heavy machine guns, but you have a lot of armor, 3 slots, and a self-sealing fuel tank. Since this is a heavy fighter, it has quite a huge range, but the good thing about this is that they have a huge defense and a huge attack, so this is much better than the small fighters, and it's great as an interceptor because it deals full damage against enemy bombers. And about the small fighters deal only 3 slots against an enemy bomber. This one gives 4 slots, and they have the same performance because both have more than 3 times the required agility to reach the cap to destroy a close air support or a bomber. So this is a perfect interceptor, but works very well as a fighter. Of course, after you replace all the old frames, you can start building this same model, but using the 40 chassis. We're going to design same design, but you're going to add radio navigation instead of the last armor. You put here radio navigation, and you have 3 engines, the model 40 and the model 40 chassis, and this has of course better stat than using the 36 chassis, but both planes are great. And about small frames, the best frame and the best fighter probably in the game is the 1940 small chassis. You put self-sealing fuel tanks, armor, and this is the king if you're going to compete for the English channel. This is better. It's not better in 1-to-1 compared to the heavy fighter, but it's much cheaper, so you outnumber the heavy fighter and you win. If you fight for the control of the English channel, this is your plane. And what about cannons? I do not use cannons. The problem with cannons is that you lose agility, you make more damage, but you lose agility. If you are going to planning to destroy enemy bombers of any kind, cannons are great because you have more agility than you need. So you can put all the cannons you want, but you are not going to be as good as a fighter. Also, if you plan to use this doctrine, the ground support doctrine, this one is for strategic bomber, this one is for ground attack, and this one is for interceptors. But if you are going this way, you can use an exploit. For example, this is 1944. You can't use 4 heavy machine guns, so you can use the other slot for something else. And if you add let's say a logistical strike bomb, you can do a lot of logistical strike damage, and if you pick that doctrine that gives you a huge boost to air attack, you're going to be dealing a lot of damage against enemy fighters. So this thing, you put this thing into logistical strike, and you're going to destroy the enemy interceptors because they are going to scramble against you, and you're going to obliterate them because you're going to do a lot of damage. You're going to be losing a little bit of agility, but you compensate with a bonus, and also try to pick a sector where the enemy do not have anti-air, and you're going to be massively destroying the enemy trains and trucks. And what about fuel tanks? Well, if you put fuel tanks in your fighters, you are going to be losing armor, you are going to increase your range, and this means that your planes are going to be more efficient, but less effective. That means that you're going to be gaining in quantity because you are going to have more planes on the air, but they are going to be weak. So if you manage to cover 100% of the enemy, the air combat with, you don't need to use fuel tanks because you're going to be losing more fighters. There is such thing as combat with in the air war. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you click here, you're going to see the interception and the number of the enemy. So if you are going to, let's say that the enemy has 100 planes and your interceptor ratio is 50, means that you are going to be able to see only 50 planes. So your combat width is 3 times that number, is 150. So if you already have 150 planes, it's better that you have those 150 planes with armor and not with fuel, because if you have more planes than needed, you're going to be just exposing yourself to an enemy attack by increasing your number. So I prefer quality instead of quantity, and fuel tanks give you that, give you more planes on the air in the area, but less quality. And about doctrines, if you want to go pure fighters, not using the trick of ground attack, you should go this way. Of course, you're not going to be going strategic, and you get some bonuses for the small fighters, sadly not for the heavy fighters. And usually factories give more benefits to the small fighters, so in the long run, the better fighters, the heavy fighter is good early on, but later in 1940 and 1944 the small fighter designs are great. Except that you are going to be playing in South America, where the distances are so huge that the small fighter do not have enough range to even reach the enemy. In that case, you have not other choice that to use small fighter with tank fuels, or even better, heavy fighters that have a lot of range. And that's all on my side. If you find this useful, please thumbs up, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.